Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wilhelm Scream, and welcome back to the channel for more Destiny 2 news and intel. And in today's video, we're going to be covering a few limited offers that are going to be disappearing tomorrow at the weekly reset. We're also going to cover some weekly reset information. Some stuff is going to be available in this upcoming week that won't be available again for quite some time. That's the remainder of this DLC and even into the next DLC. So you probably want to be prepared to farm those things out while you can. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the bell, the post notifications, so you never miss out on any future Destiny 2 content like this. You can also follow me on Instagram. It'll be linked in the description box down below. Remember, any of those things I just mentioned will also give you another entry into the next giveaway on this YouTube channel. We do one every 1,000 subscribers, so you never want to miss out. We're almost on the way. Well, I would say we're almost to 90,000 as we've come a long way in order to get to where we are today. But we're on the road to 90,000, I should say. Maybe we can even get there before the next DLC actually launches. That would be absolutely amazing. You can also leave a comment down below on any of the topics of discussion in today's video. Always interested to hear your feedback or anything I might mispronounce over the course of today's video. I'm sure there will be something. Any of those things will also give you another entry into the next giveaway. And before I get too far into this video, I did want to do my shout outs that I'm going to make more of a routine thing. So if you choose to donate to this YouTube channel, not only will you get a friend invite from me, as well as several of the members of my fire team, which can be very helpful, especially Lord Sinister. You can leave a hashtag Lord Sinister down below for another entry into the next giveaway. But you will also get a shout out for the entirety of that month moving forward. So for those who have donated this month, I want to give a shout out to John Koshet once again, Charlie Boy once again, Sark Kamari once again, Rage Forever also, and some new donators to the channel. We have DJ Striker and Aaron Batts. So thank you so much to all of them. They have gone above and beyond to help support the channel, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It really has been quite something to behold this last few weeks. And for anybody else moving forward, just know that you have my deepest thanks. And you will receive that shout out on the next video. Also want to give shout outs to my friends Tinnitus Bat, who also is a frequent here, as well as Real Dez. And if you leave a hashtag any of the names that I just mentioned, or make a hashtag any of the names I just mentioned in the comment section down below, that's the last two as well as those who donated, that'll also give you another entry into the next giveaway for this video. 801 had some interesting shaders over at XUR'S. If you missed my Friday video, there was a couple of good things. The Huckleberry Catalyst as well as the Lord of Wolves Catalyst. This is definitely a must-have. We also had exotic class items for sale. Hopefully Bungie will do a better job in making these available. They were available, of course, through the seasonal activity this past fall. That was the Halloween event. You, of course, need to unlock them normally by doing the Dual Destiny mission, but once you unlock them, you can farm them from any source. That was another opportunity to unlock them without having to do Dual Destiny. But for anybody who might need a Dual Destiny run, let me know in the comment section down below. Remember, I do respond to all comments, at least within the first day. If it takes a couple of days, I try to get as many comments or respond to as many comments as I can within the first few hours of posting, and then it might take me another day to get back. But a couple of decent exotics as well. Synthoceps is one that I think people probably want, but remember, a lot of this stuff is changing heading into the Edge of Fate, so I'm sure a lot of people are at least fairly okay with the exotic rolls they have at the moment. If you are looking to farm out some extra exotic class items, remember to purchase your Favor of the Nine buff. This isn't just for this weekend. This will carry over into next weekend and help stack when you buy this again next weekend. You can do that over 3 weeks. We had Vanguard Engrams available. You had the chance to get 3 for 23 strange coins. Over on our Strange Gear Offers page, we had a Suros Regime, Skyburner's Oath, which is still pretty good in the right activity, especially paired with Strand builds, and a must-have in the Thunderlord if you're a newer player. This is one of the best for DPS as well as ad clear. It's sort of the go-to when you don't know what to use, sort of the jack of all trades as far as heavy weapons go. And then we had a very decent Hawkmoon. As far as the legendary weapons this week, the Kept Confidence is sort of a unique weapon. The Falling Guillotine is always a good sword, though there are better ones available. And the Eternity's Edge is actually sort of a glitch weapon when you use it on other classes. Now, what I mean by that is that this was a weapon originally only intended to be used on Warlocks. And if you go to XUR, you will only see it available on the Warlock. If you log in on a Hunter, you will see the Quick Fang. And if you log in on a Titan, you will see the Crown Splitter. But this particular role on this Eternity's Edge is absolutely amazing, especially if you can use it on the other two classes, specifically a Titan. Now, in order to use this weapon on a Titan, you can now, as that was something that was an old mechanic, that these were only available for specific classes. You can now use them on any class, but you still need to purchase it from XUR on your Warlock. So log in on a Warlock, buy this, and then transfer it to your Titan. It's also still very good on the Warlock. That's with the Infinite Guard and Tireless Blade, as well as Flash Counter. That is an absolute god roll to have. You'll have a ton of uptime on just being able to block other enemies. And you'll think also blind some of them if you pair that into the role. It's just a good weapon to have. Nothing too stand out as far as the legendary armor this week, unless you were looking for the substitutional alloy armor set. I believe this is from way back in Shadowkeep. If I'm not mistaken, let me know in the comments section down below if I am. We're going to head up to Banshee 44 as he had something pretty interesting. And then we'll take another brief run and we'll talk about some other stuff in the upcoming week that you're probably going to want to be on the lookout for, but we'll do a brief run around the tower. Banshee 44, remember this will also update tomorrow, I believe also on Wednesday. We have a Nox Perennial with Envious Assassin, Collective Action with the Wildcard Origin trait. This can be enhanced. Enhanced weapons will still be very viable. If you can get an enhanced Adept weapon, that's still going to be worth like a tier 3 or a tier 4. I would say that this is a tier 2 if you can just get an enhanced weapon. So this is actually a pretty good fusion rifle, especially because it's a strand fusion rifle and that it can be enhanced with Envious Assassin. We have a Nezarac's Whisper, which can also be crafted with Impulse Amplifier and Adaptive Munitions, as well as the Extrovert Origin trait. Also not bad if you do craft it. Threaded Needle with Autoloading Holster and Frenzy is also not bad for you newer players. 7 Seraph Saw with Field Prep and Elemental Capacity you could probably skip. We had the Bad Omens with Tracking Module and Quick Draw, also not bad for PvP. And then we have a Path of Least Resistance with Adaptive Munitions, Tap the Trigger, and the Ambush Origin trait. This can also be crafted, of course. This one has a range masterwork. Very cool. So a couple of weapons there. Be on the lookouts for the updates on those over the course of the week. I will, of course, cover them on Wednesday and Friday, as that's sort of been my schedule as of late. I post on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So be on the lookout for videos from me those days. Over at Commander Zavala this week, we had the Cruel Mercy, which will be available every week for the remainder of this season or DLC. You can get the Adept version if you farm out the GM Nightfall, and like I said, an Adept version, which can also be enhanced, is worth about a tier 3, tier 4 weapon moving into the new armor and weapon systems. We had a Shadow Price, which is also available in the Adept form if you farm out the GM Nightfall this week. Shadow Price really isn't something I've used a lot lately, but I am curious if anybody is using it. I feel like there's just a few things that are better at the moment as far as perk rolls. Over at Tess Everest this week, we had some very unique things. We had this shader, whose name I still cannot pronounce and won't try at the moment, but this is an amazing shader, another one of the animated shaders, which is available free for Bright Dust. I think it looks incredible with this armor that I have on. So pick it up, because it will be disappearing tomorrow. We also had the Irident, that's incorrect, I know, Chariot shader available, but not quite the standout. If you are looking for the Eerie armor set, which was available, or was kind of an alternate from what was going to be available from the Halloween event this past year, you can still get it for 6,000 Bright Dust. So you just have to save up Bright Dust, but a lot of people didn't know that this was actually available. I'm always going to remind everybody while it is still available. You can also get the Pride Month shader, the that's an incredibly animated shader. It even changes all 3 colors available. I will leave a code for that in the pinned comment down below. I'll continue to do that on every video while it's still available for the month. You can get that for free simply by redeeming it at the Bungie store, or Bungie.com, excuse me. We had the Serite Oath weapon ornament for the Ariana's Vow, which is absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, not a sight-changing ornament, but still an incredibly looking one. I picked this up this week myself. Very unique, and the very first time that this was ever sold, at least for Bright Dust. If you were playing Trials of Osiris this week, there was a couple of Adept weapons also available. We'll head down there really fast. And while we're heading there, I just wanted to say that and remind everybody that this week we will have Iron Banner. So at the reset tomorrow, this will be the last Iron Banner available for quite some time. That's the remainder of this season and moving into the Edge of Fate. We will not have Iron Banner right away. I don't know if we're going to have Trials of Osiris right away either. So we will have Trials of Osiris again before the end of this DLC, but we will not have Iron Banner. So if you're looking to farm out a couple of weapons that I'll cover in a second, but if you are farming if you are farming Trials of Osiris this week, with the remaining 24 hours, we have a Keen Thistle Adept sniper rifle, as well as the Inquisitor, which will also be available for the remaining Trials of Osiris during the course of this episode or season or DLC, whatever we're calling it at the moment, up until the Edge of Fate. For Iron Banner next week, it'll be your last chance to farm out the Tenacious Mastery for quite some time, and this is the role that I absolutely love. I use it all the time. You want something with Chill Clip, secondary role, or the secondary perk I have Enlightened Action. Really isn't quite as important as if you can get one with Chill Clip, but it'll be your last chance to get one of these. And if you can get the Adept version of this, it will still be very relevant heading into the next DLC, The Edge of Fate. Probably not a tier 5, maybe not even a tier 4, but definitely a tier 3 with this perk and the or an enhanced version with this perk. There'll be a few other items that you probably want to pick up, but I might cover those on Wednesday, so be on the lookout for those, because I'm just kind of curious to see what the actual rank rewards will be for this Iron Banner. I believe the Nightfall weapon for next week is also going to be the last time that that weapon will be available. At least I think that's what's going to be the case moving forward with all new Nightfalls for the remainder. I think we'll see, starting tomorrow, everything one more time. So the Shadow Price we might see the very last week again, but I'm not totally sure. Might have started this week, but in any case, if there's any of the Nightfall weapons that you've been waiting to farm out, start doing them now. Over in the Eternity for Rite of the Nine, we will have all 3 dungeons available with double loot next week, and then they will be on rotation for the double loot. So we will still have all 3 available for the remainder of Rite of the Nine, but we will have a featured one every week after this next week. But next week, we will have all 3 featured, which should be awesome. So if there was any more of the weapons that you wanted available through the Rite of the Nine, next week will be a great weekend to farm if you hadn't had a chance to farm out the previous 2 dungeons. Remember, Ghost of the Deep will still have that really great farm for the 2.5 encounter if you farm, or I guess it's the 1.5 encounter if you're farming it on Eternity or Ultimatum. For the next 24 hours over in the Dreaming City, we still have the Shattered Throne dungeon available. On our Legends tab for the Exoitc mission, we have the Star-Crossed Exoitc mission available. For the Nightfall, for the remaining 24 hours, it was the Hypernet Current. I'm not totally sure what it'll be next week, but hopefully a easier farm. I'm always hoping for Lake of Shadows. I think we still had Lake of Shadows this season. It's one of my favorite strikes, like ever. Let me know what your favorite strike is down in the comments section down below for another entry into the next giveaway, of course. We had the Root of Nightmares as one of our featured raids for this week over on SAVATHUN'S Throne World. We had our other featured raid, or excuse me, we don't have a featured raid. We had the Sundered Doctrine, which is the current dungeon, as well as the other featured dungeon for the week, the Spire of the Watcher. And what was the very last raid? Over on Europa, we had the Deepstone Crypt. Now, sometimes I get asked, what do I mean by featured raids? So, just briefly, every week there are 2 featured raids and 2 featured dungeons. Now, overall, there are always 3 featured raids and 3 featured dungeons. The third spot for the dungeon and raid is held for what is the most current raid or dungeon. So in this case, Sundered Doctrine is always a featured dungeon, while it is the new dungeon. After it is pushed back to a secondary spot, so once we have another new dungeon, or another new raid for that matter, the other dungeons all get put on a weekly rotation. So there will be a rotating 2 dungeons and 2 raids, and then, of course, the newest raid and dungeon are always featured. So, as I said, over on SAVATHUN'S Throne World, Sundered Doctrine will always have this little mark that designates it the featured dungeon, as it is the new dungeon, and over in the Pale Heart, all the way over on the right side, we will always have the Salvation's Edge raid featured. Now, what does it mean when something is featured? It just means that you can farm out any encounter on one character as many times as you want and still get loot. If it's not featured, it doesn't mean that you still can't get loot from it. It just means that you will only be able to farm out every encounter in that raid or dungeon once per character, so a total of 3 times per week, versus having to, or the convenience of just being able to stay on one character and do any encounter over and over again. Just wanted to make that clear. Maybe it's just the vernacular that I use, but in any case, that's how I define it, and that's how it really is defined, though, again, some people might use slightly different wording in talking about featured or the, that week's dungeon. Kind of negligible as far as what you want to term it, but in any case, that is going to conclude all the information for today's video. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, as I said before, or follow me on Instagram. Leave a hashtag, any of the names I mentioned at the beginning of this video down below, or a comment on any of the topics of discussion. As always, anything I might have mispronounced, there was at least one, so you can let me know how to say it, even though I probably won't sink into my head. Sometimes these words are just too tough. You can also leave a hashtag Rite of the Nine, or a hashtag Edge of Fate, or a hashtag Year of Prophecy in the comment section down below for another entry into the next giveaway. And once more, I'm Wilhelm Scream. Thanks so much for watching again, as always, and we will see you next time.